Hey folks, Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, ancestrylands.com. So we switched it up. I'm doing a little different drive here. If you notice, I am actually in your rear view. You'll see my face. You'll see my lovely face. My handsome face as I check. You can see my eyes in the rear view. We're doing a different style of photo shooting today, or video shooting. On Sunday, I went to an interesting I'm going to say open book, or whenever another author happens to be one of my neighbors, Mr. Taha Sajid. We went to a public library. We was having a book signing event talking about blockchain technology, scams, how to avoid them. And it was very interesting to see, his explanations about blockchain security, how AI is going to be involved, how particular communities in relation to Bitcoin, and I'll put a little bit of the footage in there. And I asked some poignant questions which may or may not have been answered fully, or to the specificity that I was looking for. Because one of the things that we all know is that there is a Fed coin coming out. Actually, it's actually on Robinhood. If you see it, I'm not promoting it at all, I'm just stating. Fed coin is USDC, digital currency, United States digital currency. That's the symbol, numerical symbols there. And I think it's selling for about $1. Look at this guy right here behind me, about to chime in there. Any which way, it is available for purchase. I use Robinhood as an app. Again, that's not a sponsor. But one of the things I had a concern about with Bitcoin is we are trading in Bitcoin on wallets, and it's, again, internet-based. It still requires electricity. So in the United States, where our grid is so out of date, old-fashioned, I think, shout out to Coach Greg Adams, he reported in Vegas over the weekend of March 7th, what is today, the 10th, so that will be on March 9th, Vegas had a power outage. My questions, which I asked in relation to power outages, are how do you trade or use Bitcoin in the event of an attack, a grid failure? And it's not to attack Bitcoin at all, but I understand it. But see, the difference is this, is that with cash, you can still carry cash around. If the power is off, people still will allow you to purchase products because you are purchasing with cash. Even if they're ATMs, there's a physical record that's still left behind. There's still some writing down that's required. You still can keep tabulations of inventory sold. And I mean, again, there is some honor system because you would trust that your employees are doing the right thing. But again, you want to make sure that all those things are in place. So again, digital currency is really only as good as the infrastructure that exists within this country to support the systems that we're putting in place. I mean, if you know the price of an actual item, which is written on the board, or it's posted somewhere in each business. For example, McDonald's, the prices are listed on a menu, which you can all see. And if the electricity goes out and McDonald's needs to offload or sell whatever product or inventory that is there at that time, that inventory can be sold, correct? Because the prices are listed. It's still physical. A person can come in and bring, well, I'm going to assume inflated prices, that a hamburger is now $10, and I use that for being facetious and being very dramatic. It's $10. You can bring in $20 and get $10 of change, or maybe you can't because the cash registers are not working. But you can bring in $10 to purchase that item. You can also elect to just not have any change back to purchase the item. A decision can be made. But if you're only on digital currency and there is a grid failure, purposely or accidental, or it's intentional, it's in the form of we are being cyberly attacked, does it not? I understand the Bitcoin itself may not be exposed, but access to it and in the availability to trade or use of it now limits everyone. And again, many of these new technological adopters, from what I've learned, that Bitcoin is controlled by the developers or the miners of Bitcoin. And in the case of the Rick and Morty situation, you ever look at that one part where Rick invades penetrates into, the Galactic Federation? He invades in there and he resets the Galactic Federation, whatever their currency is, to zero. So it became essentially worthless because he ineffectively made it worthless because he set the value of it to zero. So it was no longer had any meaning because it was just purely all digital. So, and that just brought to light something to my mind, asking, could that happen with us? And one thing with humans, we are quick to adopt technology to help us enrich our lives, whether it be personal or professional. But we still, just like you take the example of cell phones, with that example of cell phones, it has not made people necessarily smarter. I find that even with cell phones, elderly people, like my parents and that older generation, they can use a cell phone because it operates on still like a phone, but they do not understand how to use the advancements of it fully. So when they interact with it, there are extreme limitations such as video calling. That's not something they can do very well. Ordering things online. There are a lot of limiters there that they cannot perform accurately in the same way that a younger person can to adopt that technology. Now, I understand that you will eventually have those people die off, and even in my generation, it'll be new technologies that I'm not used to. But again, there are still younger people who do not know how to use and operate technology and use their phones or interfaces very well. And when the power is off, like with the AT&T situation, when that power happened, who knew their how many phone numbers did people know? How many phone numbers did people recognize? Could remember. Growing up, you could always remember maybe about 30 phone numbers of the most important people that you interacted with on most occasions. But now in our environment, I probably only know my wife's number, my home number, my number, and a few others. And again, because we're so reliant on the technology to take care of things before us, when technology is not available, such as the AT&T outage, you saw Facebook was out last week. There was no accessibility to Facebook. People are really handicapped in their freedoms. So I ask the same thing, is that when the internet is not accessible, how does Bitcoin operate when there are power outages, when there are system failures, grid attacks? We've seen that in Houston a few years ago with their cold snap, where their grid fell apart because of inclement weather. We've seen that a few times out in the world where our country has been very vulnerable as far as our grid is concerned. California, they've had power outages, rolling blackouts as they call them. And they want to put electric vehicles all throughout the state, yet do not have enough electricity. Whoa, look at this guy right here. Whew. Guess nobody be getting a ride from him. And that was a taxi broken down on the left-hand side. But again, like I was saying about the rolling blackouts in Northern California, or actually California the state, if no money is going in towards the infrastructure and we do move to a complete total digital currency, then where is the freedom or anonymity when you do not have access to the currency in which you are looking to trade when it's all done online? It's just a question. And again, the answers that I received were related to the security measures, the infrastructure placed back into the government's hand. And we clearly can see right now that the government is not working on rebuilding the infrastructure to the country to modernize it. In California, the current governor, Gavin Newsom, is planning to do away with all gas-powered vehicles by 2035. So if that is true, is the electrical grid, the infrastructure for the electrical grid, up to par to be able to take that bandwidth? When at most plug and charge places that you go to plug up and charge to it for an EV, there's a waiting line. Most people do not have this in their car readily available. If this guy would just see this car right here that just get in and out of lane. Sometimes people, you want to go somewhere, but it's Sunday. Not everybody's interested in speeding. Nobody's got to go to work today for the most part. So if you're that urgent, just stay in the left lane. Well, that's just my driving suggestions. Unless you're getting over to allow a car to pass. But that's not what this person's doing, because they're maintaining advanced speeds. You can see right now they're about to catch up to the next row of cars that are in the left lane. And now he's got to wait. If he would just stay here, he or she, it's a he, would be ahead. They're probably going to have to get in the back behind in the left lane again. Sometimes, folks, even if you're rushing, it's better to just stay in your lane. So I'm going to go back to that point, because I'm just wondering, how in the world do you keep a grid going if you're not maintaining and keeping up and modernizing the infrastructure? It seems that we're going to put the technology out before we have the infrastructure in place. I guess you would say that's like buying the horse before you have a cart. But I mean, the whole point of having a cart when you have a horse is for the horse to carry the load, right? So I don't know. I mean, the undertaking of building the infrastructure. I mean, if you were to go the whole state of California, it's a very big state, to become completely on grid, electrical grid, updated and modernized. And I've lived in Northern California. There are some very rural areas where there are tons of mountains, and I mean, you got power lines going in between trees. That is not an updated electrical grid that we're talking about. And I'm in Pennsylvania now, and I see it the same way. That means every little bit of line of wire has to be redone. I mean, or that's it, it's over. I mean, you got cell towers too as well. But again, power outages do happen where there's no access to power and grocery stores are out of power. How then do you go and buy items in a cashless society? I mean, these questions, the desire to make money is paramount over asking the questions, can it be safely adopted? And the questions I have for the elite, or the elite people who are coming up or saying this is the way forward, because they're rushing to adopt it, is, well, is it just our problem, or will it eventually be yours too as well? And this might explain why some of the areas or facilities or some banks are buying up gold as a backup. If you look right now, today, March 10th, gold is at an all-time high. So is silver, for that matter, because silver tends to trail gold in growth. And I'm just wondering, is the digital currency, does that allow for the lower rungs or the lower dregs of society, the lower, I don't want to say lower economy, middle to lower income class people existing within the country to operate using digital currency, because there is no value them having actual dollars? Will a paper currency or a gold-backed currency, because I don't know how the USDC is going to, and that's the US digital currency, what it's going to be backed by. Because again, and the other question I asked too as well is, in the other part of the world, is that when you have countries taken over, invaded, such as like Ukraine is right now, then if Russia were to get the upper hand and invade in Ukraine and actually take over, how? Well, the Russian is a ruble. I don't know what the Ukrainian digital. Let's just put everybody on digital currency. In this situation, Russia takes completely over Ukraine. This is hypothetical, not actual. I'm just asking the question here and posing the situation. You all can comment below and tell me your thoughts on this particular scenario, because it actually has a real footing in reality. This could potentially happen. The only difference is that we actually have a currency that is, I believe, paper currency that can easily be replaced and adopted and put into circulation. And it was that if Russia had completely taken over Ukraine, hypothetically, and they had a digital currency, the digital currency of rubles, and they were no longer operating and using Ukraine's whatever digital currency, the Ukrainian digital currency, then what then is the citizens who are currently holding whatever stores or ledgers or wallets of a digital currency, that Ukrainian digital currency, what do they switch to then? Because now they have to adopt a Russian-based digital currency. So how then do they operate when it has to be issued out? Can someone who is a millionaire be turned into a poor person at that point? Or a person in a lower socioeconomic status? I mean, it seems highly likely that could happen. I mean, very much so. And that is simply because the digital currency is no longer being accepted within that locale. Now, again, the counter to that is that they told me that, well, other countries still could accept that currency. Absolutely, I totally agree with that. The Ukrainian digital currency still could be accepted anywhere else in the world for the people who have that ledger. Got it. Understood. What about the rest of the people, the majorities? Because now you're talking about a currency transfer, but that most likely will lie into the power of the elite being able to transfer that currency over in an exchange, right? Am I going the right way? I said 476 south, 95 to Philadelphia. So I'm just trying to make sure I'm going the right way, because I'm driving over to New Jersey right now to meet with a longtime friend, and I want to make sure I have the right directions. I've had to write them down because I cannot record and use directions at the same time because of where my mic feed is going through. But back to what I was saying is that seems like that's only going to be a benefit to the elite that can perform an exchange of currency, digital currency at that time. And again, depending on, and here poses another question I never asked, when you have international dealings, the US dollar is accepted and used throughout the world. And you now have other countries looking to replace the US dollar. Can a digital currency be replaced as well if it's no longer accepted, depending on national relations between two countries? You know, in a situation where you would say Pakistan and Israel have an exchange of digital currency rate, can that exchange now be dissolved because of political issues, political tensions, a war, an invasion? When the U.S. invaded Saudi Arabia, I'm not sorry, Saudi, yeah, no, not Saudi Arabia, Iraq. When we invaded Iraq, would any of the currency that was currently used by Iraq, how would that currency interact at that level? You got to think about this, right? Because again, it does have a direct effect on generational wealth and the wealth of the citizens, because it seems that the wealth, how would say the currency, the control of the currency, the deciders of what currency will be accepted is not a global currency. It is an individual country's currency that can be changed at the drop of a dime, depending on political strength, political alliances. I mean, you could just imagine with the many different countries and leaders that I guess you could say were or not on, what did you have? George Bush had the axis of evil, North Korea. With these countries, how does the value stay the same when you have political turmoil? It's just a question because I lack the understanding. I'm not here to attack Bitcoin or anything else like that. But again, Bitcoin, you can operate in Bitcoin. But again, what if the government banned Bitcoin? Made it illegal to use within the U.S., where stores and corporations cannot accept Bitcoin as a form of payment for products and items sold in stores. I don't care about the higher level use of Bitcoin. I care about the use of Bitcoin to be able to buy cheese, eggs, the basic necessities. Because in order for something to be, you're not going to have the majority of people who make under 75,000 buying Bitcoin to have 1,000 shares of Bitcoin at currently $67,000 per coin. They're not going to have that kind of money. So who's it for? Other than the elite class, right? I mean, I don't know many people that can go right now on the market. I'm not talking about regular folks that can just buy one Bitcoin or two Bitcoins, 3 Bitcoins at a time. Every month they're spending 20 to 30 to 40,000. Whatever the current rate of value for Bitcoin is, that they're able to buy Bitcoin like you do, stocks for $10. Because the value is so high. You look like stocks like Berkshire Hathaway's that can only be bought by elite level people who have the funds to get whole shares. So it's not for everyone. Don't forget, folks, my book, Getting Dollars from Dirt, is on Amazon. It is not a $40 book. It's less than $20, and that is not because the value is less than $20. It's because it needed to be affordable for the common man. And right now you have a situation where people don't know that the change is coming. And when I say the change is coming, I'm talking about there's going to be two societies. A society of wealthy people who have access to pretty much the whole world in all its glory. And you're going to have people who are stuck into these small microcosms where they can exist in societies and they will never be able to see the world as a free person. It will affect the generational wealth or the learning of the inhabitants of those micro areas. It will limit people's ability to grow, to have upward mobility. It will also affect the salaries and qualities of the professional workers that are employed to teach and administrate in those areas. Because again, the higher salaries, digital currency or not, will be offered to people that are going to be in the more resourceful areas. And that's why I've had that conversation before about being in resource-rich environments. Right now, we're passing on our right where you saw that plane just pass through the horizon there. We're right by the Philadelphia airport. Exit 17, we're going to take exit 19 towards the Walt Whitman Bridge. And people don't understand You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me very much of, if you've ever seen the show or movie Star Wars, when we watch Star Wars, the part where the Jedi live, there's actually a city below ground or at the lower level, because the cities were built on top of each other. Like the old city is in the, I don't know what you want to call it, but the lower levels, because the cars are flying, they're very much over what is actually what the skyline or skyscrapers that exist nowadays. So the top of these skyscrapers in any given city, that actually is the ground, the top part of that is the ground level for where the new cities are that they exist. Folks, if you look straight ahead, you will see the Eagles Stadium, Philadelphia Eagles Stadium, the Lincoln Financial Field, is straight up ahead of us, folks. And I am going the right way. I like it. Just get over here. Make sure I'm driving safely. You will see Eagles Stadium coming up into the forefront. I believe right next to it is where the Philadelphia Sixers play. The Wells Fargo Arena is right here on your left. Maybe that's where the Philadelphia Flyers play. I'm not really big on my sports stuff, folks, so you'll see the stadium here, right here on your left. That's the Philadelphia Eagles Stadium. And I believe the Wells Fargo Center is right next to it. Interesting, huh? I didn't know you were going to go and see that. And Citizens Park, you cannot see to my far left, is where the Phillies play. It's all here, all one together. But I do believe that's where the Sixers play. See the sign right there, the sign right here for the Financial Center, Lincoln Financial Field. Eagles play. It's cool. I grew up in South Jersey. Philly was always the hometown team, if you will. Let me just get my next direction heading. As you can see, people are breaking up ahead. 6 Walt Whitman Bridge, 1B, Trenton 295. And it's things that people got to wake up and get ready for, man. You got to get ready for this. You got to prepare. You got to start educating your children and start to have knowledge. You know, they talk about being woke. I talk about being awake. Woke is it's a catchphrase meant to kind of shame people, saying they don't have the identification or the acceptance. Oh, you stay woke. To be awake is to see, observe, have critical thinking, to be able to observe your environment and defend against. And this lady's just riding my behind here, like she's going to get ahead of me by getting closer. But okay, you know, you want to do that. I'm not gonna rush because you're speeding up by behind. But I would advise you not to do it. I'm gonna take the Walt Whitman Bridge here. Walt Whitman. All right, turning signal on. And the roads are horrible. Jeez. That's interesting. See the Phillies. That sign over there that says the Phillies right there. Interesting. It's always a rich person with a nice car driving like a booty hole, butthole. You can't see him behind me, but they're in my rear view mirror. And you say, hey Phil, you know, well, how do we do that? How do we, you know, educate ourselves against what you're saying? How do we prepare for the man? Or how do we prepare for what you're talking about, this doom and gloom? Well, outside of buying a digital currency, you still need to have something physical that you own. You still need to have something that I keep talking about, which is owning land. She got that's the car right there, that white Jaguar right there. That's the one. You got to drive fast as she can, you know. It's just ridiculous, man. Right now we're going over the Walt Whitman Bridge, folks. We're going into New Jersey. technology is moving fast to eliminate people who are not applying themselves. I've said this time and time again that realistically, the way things are going with AI and blockchain, these new technologies coming out, the people who can penetrate into those what they're really doing is sealing off the upper class, making it so that way you will never be able to get into these classes or high levels. I mean, it'll give a whole new meaning to elite. Like, there will never be another, when you say elite 1%, that'll become a percent so small that it's going to look like, I don't know. I mean, like an emperor status. You know what I mean? It's going to be crazy. My book is available on Amazon, Getting Dollars from Dirt. A Beginner's Guide to Vacant Land Investing, written by yours truly, Philip Davis. Again, folks, getting land is the start. Having assets, because again, outside of your digital currencies, you still need to physically consume. They have not taken that part away yet. They have not been able to find a way to digitally feed you and sustain you. You still need to have physical food, shelter, and safety, which owning land will give you all three of them, because you can build how you want, but again, it requires knowledge. You can grow, and again, once you have the original seed, a seed, you can get a seed from a spoiled piece of fruit and grow and feed your family, feed yourself. And we are now in New Jersey, folks. We made it, at least state-wise. That's what land can give you. It can offer you that exact thing. Woo, that was almost an accident. Good reaction to that dude. Woo-hoo! Boy, he was doing well. Let me speed up ahead of this person. She wearing glasses. Don't look like she can see. Woo-hoo! All right, 1B, here we go. Slow down. She's going, girl. All right, 1B. Now, where are we going next? 1B, Trinana 34A. Okay. Land can offer you shelter because you can build on the land, give yourself housing. Again, digital currency can't give you that when your stomach is growling. Always, you see that guy over there? That's the guy right there with he's got a Mustang. He's gonna drive crazy. But you know, hey man, people gotta live, man. People gotta live to die. Even if that's just what it is, you know. Everyone is going to be able to live their lives the way they're going to live. And that person is choosing to live their life recklessly. And that's good for them, because that's how they want to live. Dude, how long is it going to take you to get over, man? Come on, Grandpa. Get over, man. Whenever you're ready. It's got to be a young guy. Look at this guy. Let's take a look and see who it is. It's a grandfather. I think I know that guy. Any which way. But again, that's something that, again, currency, AI cannot give you. It cannot give you shelter. It cannot give you food. It cannot give you security. Because your physical body demands physical things. You can have all the AI computer systems that you want. It does not matter if it is only in the digital world and it does not exist in the physical one. You can argue physical all day, but we are not there yet. 34A. We're not there yet. We're not at that point where we can digitally sustain ourselves. My stomach gets hungry, I need actual food from an animal that's been slaughtered, or a plant that's been processed, or a plant that has been cut, cleaned, and needs to be consumed organically. My body is going to fight off germs based upon the sustenance that I consume, based upon my anaerobic or aerobic exercise, based on the physical maintenance and health of my arteries, based on my muscle mass. I'll be able to lift certain poundage depending on my bone structure and muscle makeup. You get where I'm coming from here? And again, you need something physical in order to be able to survive in the physical realm. It's our interface with the digital world this is the interaction. As I'm at work, I see people just staring on their phones, into TikTok, Instagram, feeding themselves nothing in their mind. You have to feed yourself and your children knowledge. Because again, it will get to the point that the unknowledgeable will be also the people who don't have anything. And eventually, they'll just leave you behind. Where it's no longer social programs. I mean, look at the debt now. There's no longer any funding available. What then do you do with your government handouts? What then do you do when there's no more social programs? How then do you educate yourself other than to tear each other apart? And again, land is that way for the common person. Yeah, it might not be for a person that's going to sit here and give me numbers and where this is. And I had a comment one time, person put in, I thought people trying to leave that crap hole in California City. Let me tell you something about California City. Many places at many different times, including where Disneyland currently is, have been least desirable until it was built up. That's an elitist mindset to have. When you think about where California City is positioned at in relation to Los Angeles, it's about an hour and a half away from Los Angeles County. Now, if you think a little bit further out than your small peon mind, user Icuna or Ikakia, I don't even know what your name is. It's a faceless channel. All you do is just get up there to comment. And I removed your comment on the basis of how stupid you sound. There are people who live in California City that's all they have for life. How dare you make assumptions that way? That city gives information out every month about what they're trying to do to help rebuild that or increase the city up to make it more attractive to investors and residents. You may not know this, but the people who live in California, they're being priced out just like the people in Florida are. Everything can't be everyone makes a profit. Someone's got to help the little person, and that's where I come in. Someone's got to help people out before everybody just forgets about them. I'm going to make sure I remember my exit before and again, you saying crap hole, how? Not everybody can live in the most expensive $1 million homes in LA and Beverly Hills. Not everyone. It's a cop pulling somebody over up here. We got to slow down. I also got to get over to as well. You see this car right here and this small car coming up? On a boot? Look at on a boot on the front of your tire. That's so crazy. Woo, boy. Jersey Popo, you see him right there. Now Jersey, they wear the suits and everything, man. They got the whole colonel hat looking like Canadian mountaineers. You know what I mean? But how dare you going back to this butthole? I'm not going to go ahead and slander you fully because, you know, my kids watch the show too, man. But just saying that, and again, Mike Tyson invested in 40 acres out there to do glamping. Maybe you'll come back around and want it after it's more expensive. But make sure you come by from me so I can charge you double what I'll give everybody else a discount for. People are getting priced out of LA like it's no one's business. Then you had your great big boom over in Lancaster and Palmdale, which is about maybe 40 minutes away from California City. Where do you think they're going to next once that becomes overpriced? Where do you think they're going to go to buy next? Right? When that area becomes unaffordable, because it already is, the lands are selling for $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $100,000. And again, we're talking about working class people. We're not talking about people who are looking to increase their portfolio. We're talking about people who have children to raise, who are helping to build this country and maintain it. The people who clean your toilets, the people who clean bathrooms, the teachers, who've got students 42-1 with your dumb comment. Because you're sitting somewhere behind a computer and you're not living life. You're not looking at what people are going through down on the world, down in the real world. You're sitting behind a computer talking about how you made it while the whole world else is burning down. You got people coming over the country that they're allowing in, taking jobs away from people who actually were working. You got AI taking over jobs that people wanted to use to support their family. You got health insurance being so expensive that people can't even have children anymore because they don't know how they're going to afford to feed their babies. You're talking about the rights of people who want to be happy and enjoy life being stripped away from them one by one because they'd rather not have a child and live in poverty than have a child and selfishly can't feed them and raise them up poor. And your only thing you'll say to that is, well, you know, that's on them, you heartless bastard. Yeah, and I'm talking to you. Not talking to the people who understand what this channel and this community is about. You got a lot of people in the world who don't have access to the things we take for granted. And hell, we take for granted the people who don't have access to the same things that we have in the country. And eventually, where are those people going to go? Where are you going to hide in your safe neighborhoods and your gated communities when you still need a gardener for your lawn, right? Because you don't have time. Don't forget, the elite aren't going to be the ones teaching your children. It is going to be people like me. People who go to work for a living. People who own a business and still have to take care of you. You don't have AI who's going to be your nurse. I'm going to be one taking your blood pressure. Your elitist attitudes. And then when we walk away, when the regular folk walk away, what do you got then? What are you going to do then, huh? Tough guy? Because your portfolio looks good. You done forgot about the common man. And I'm going to tell you something like Bob Marley told his children before he passed away. The late, great Bob Marley. You can't take the money with you. Hell, even the pharaohs of Egypt were buried with their gold that other people went to go pilfer and take away. Because we forget that we all are in this together, that we have one planet that we all live on. That if enough people are suffering, that's going to affect your bottom dollar. When food gets more expensive, how many businesses can stay afloat? Right? Inflation's a real thing, right? Okay, now inflation's getting so high, companies got to raise their prices, correct? Okay, now they're raising their prices. Now people who can't afford it. Now businesses are going what? Laying off people, right? So again, it doesn't bother you, but again, it's going to always affect your community. It never matters until you start seeing your neighborhood go down. Until it hits your dollar, then you care, don't you? So again, California City may not be for you, but it's for a lot of other people. And I'm not jacking the prices up. I'm making it affordable so people have opportunity to do what you do at a high level. But somebody's going to have to start with the tens, hundreds. They're going to have to start low. Not everybody can go in and buy a $50,000 property and throw the money down like that. Not everybody can. And not everybody should be expected to. And that's where things go wrong. When everything is the world according to you. Like you never had to make it. And maybe you didn't because you had a parent that gave you a lollipop that you never had to get it out of the mud. And maybe you did. But again, everybody can't be as successful as you are. Yeah, you want everybody to have the standard, but again, maybe you got it out of the mud, but maybe someone had to go deeper in the mud to get it out where you didn't have to. As you talk about digging in the dirt, some people got to go even lower, started lower when they were digging. Not everybody's lazy. Some people do not have opportunity because they were raised without the knowledge I'm trying to provide. The prices weren't affordable because of corporate greed. This channel is for people who are working, looking for a way up and out. It ain't for the people who already got it and can look down on others and say, why don't you do what I did and get better? And again, when I go to ask them, who have you helped? Who have you reached down to and pulled up? The answer is usually always none, or their own family members. It's never anyone else, like their community. There's nowhere, they haven't done anything out but enrich themselves. They made sure they were the richest ones always. They made sure they were good, and you know what? They didn't leave anything behind for anyone else to, not even a crumb. Judging people. So folks, if you want some help, you're at the right place. If you want a property, something that you can leverage, something you can build ownership for, then you come to AncestryLands.com, you subscribe to this channel, you share it, you buy the book, you get yourself knowledge, and you deal with someone who actually is down in the trenches with you, the working guy, still with a family, still teaching his kids about owning land, investing, building a business. You're watching me do it in real time. Not a guy leveraging other people's monies. Not a guy saying I'm wealthy because I took everybody else. I had to do it. I had to own it and do it the way, how I say I'm doing it. I didn't sell someone else's. I sold my own. I bought it first. I put my name on that first before I went to go say I'm going to make a profit off of it. I made the initial investment. I took the initial risk because I saw the vision in the property. What did you do? Nothing. Any which way, folks, that's it for today. I hope you have been educated, enlightened, and least of all, entertained. I'm your host, Philip Davis. I hope you enjoyed the ride, folks. I hope you enjoyed the new setup that we're trying to do now. This will probably be the way I record my videos for a while. I like it's not a dash cam, but it's a little bit different. Any which way, folks, Phil Davis, like, share, subscribe. Make sure you send this video to people that you know will need it, need to hear it, need to be inspired by it, because you mean something. You mean something to me. Any which way, I'm your host, Phil Davis, and I'm out. Peace.
Are you confused with today's real estate market? With high interest rates and overpriced housing, it can be hard to find something to own at the right price. Available on Amazon, Getting Dollars from Dirt by author Philip H. Davis is a game-changing book that invites you to embark on a thrilling exploration of this often overlooked asset class. This book is your roadmap to unlocking the secrets of vacant land investment. Inside these pages, you will uncover the transformative power of vacant land as a wealth-building tool. Discover how to spot promising properties, assess their true value, and capitalize on market trends. From understanding zoning and permits to leveraging financing strategies, you'll gain the knowledge and confidence to make savvy investment decisions. With each page you turn, you'll gain a deeper understanding of the profound impact your investments can have on the world around you. Getting Dollars from Dirt is not just a guidebook, it's a call to action. Whether you're a seasoned investor or a curious novice, this book will empower you to tap into the immense potential of vacant land and embark on a journey toward financial freedom and a brighter future.